volcano's erupting! Get out now! Lily? Lily? Mr. Caldwell, we need you farther back. My daughter is inside. She was with me. Send someone back. Please. Lily!
Maya, come on!
Why did you stop? Do you know where Lily went?
I saw her earlier. She went toward a hallway.
6 hours earlier.
The volcano is erupting. Get out now. The warning ripped through Blackridge Summit Resort just as the floor rolled beneath Ethan Caldwell's polished black shoes. Crystal glasses trembled. A chandelier swayed above the marble lobby. Somewhere beyond the towering windows, a deep roar rolled across the mountain like thunder trapped underground. Then the emergency sirens began. Guests abandoned champagne, briefcases, handbags, everything. Investors who had spent the afternoon discussing billion-dollar deals suddenly wanted only one thing: the nearest exit. Move! Keep moving! Security shouted as gray ash swept across the windows and turned the afternoon sky into something that looked like dusk. Ethan Caldwell was accustomed to rooms moving when he spoke. At 42, the billionaire CEO of Caldwell Dynamics commanded thousands of employees, negotiated deals across continents, and carried himself with the composed certainty of a man who believed every crisis had a solution. But this crisis did not care about his name. It did not care about his Navy suit, his luxury watch, or the company whose logo covered half the retreat banners behind him. A security officer guided Ethan through the emergency doors into the cold mountain air. Hundreds of guests streamed toward the evacuation area nearly a quarter-mile away. Ethan took 3 fast steps before something inside him stopped. He looked down. His right hand was empty. His breath caught. 6 minutes earlier, that hand had been holding his 8-year-old daughter's. Lily. He turned toward the crowd. Faces rushed past him. Staff members. Executives. Investors. No Lily. Lily. His voice rose above the alarms. Nothing. Ethan pushed against the flow of people, blue eyes searching desperately through the moving crowd. Where's my daughter? A security officer grabbed his attention. Mr. Caldwell, we need you farther from the building. My daughter is inside. The officer froze. Ethan pointed toward the resort. She was with me. She was right there. For perhaps the first time in years, Ethan gave an order and nobody moved. The evacuation team was already accounting for missing guests, but conditions inside were changing too quickly. Another low rumble passed beneath their feet. Ethan stared at the entrance as ash drifted through the air like dark snow. Send someone back. His voice cracked around the words. Please. 20 feet away, Maya Brooks stopped running. The 25-year-old waitress still wore her white collared shirt and bright red apron. Her curly ponytail had loosened during the evacuation, and one hand was wrapped around the wrist of an older co-worker she had helped outside. Maya heard Ethan call Lily's name, and suddenly she remembered something. A quiet conversation, a handmade gift, a little girl slipping toward a hallway where guests were never supposed to go. Maya slowly turned toward the resort. Everyone else was moving away from it. She knew that was what she should do too. She was scared. Her hands were trembling. Her heart hammered against her ribs. Courage, after all, is rarely the absence of fear. Sometimes it is simply the moment fear tells you to run and something deeper tells you someone still needs you. Ethan saw Maya staring at the building. Their eyes met across the chaos. He did not know why the waitress had stopped. He did not yet understand that she might be the only person outside who knew where Lily had gone. Maya released her co-worker's hand. Then she took one step toward the resort. Everyone kept running. The waitress turned back. Before we continue, if you enjoy unforgettable stories about ordinary people facing extraordinary moments, subscribe to Hidden Tables. Every story reminds us that true character is revealed through courage, compassion, and the choices we make when no one is watching. Now, let's see what happens next. 6 hours earlier, Blackridge Summit Resort had looked like the safest place money could buy. Morning sunlight spilled through 40-foot windows, painting warm gold across polished stone floors, while snow still clung to the distant ridgelines. The mountain beyond the glass looked peaceful, almost decorative, the kind of view guests photograph between meetings before returning to conversations about acquisitions, investments, and numbers large enough to change entire industries. Caldwell Dynamics had reserved nearly the entire resort for its annual private investor retreat, and everywhere Maya Brooks looked, wealth seemed to have its own language. Tailored suits, luxury watches, quiet handshakes, conversations lowered whenever someone important approached. Maya understood the rhythm. At 25, she had worked enough high-end events to know that excellent service often meant becoming invisible. She moved between tables in her white collared shirt and bright red apron, replacing coffee before anyone asked, remembering dietary requests, noticing empty glasses before the guests noticed them themselves. Most people thanked her without looking up. Some did not thank her at all. Maya never allowed either response to change the quality of her work. Then Ethan Caldwell entered the ballroom. The atmosphere shifted before he said a word. Conversation softened. Executives straightened. Investors turned toward him. Ethan was tall, athletic, and composed, his dark brown hair neatly styled above sharp features and confident blue eyes. His navy suit fit perfectly. His expression suggested a man already thinking 3 decisions ahead. People did not simply notice Ethan Caldwell. They adjusted themselves around him. Maya watched him cross the room while an assistant listed changes to the afternoon schedule. 2 department heads approached with questions. Another executive followed with a tablet. Ethan answered each person without breaking stride. Then Maya noticed the little girl walking several steps behind him. Lily Caldwell looked painfully out of place among the adults. She wore a pale blue sweater and carried a small paper bag against her chest with both hands. Twice she quickened her steps to catch her father. Twice someone stepped between them with another question. Ethan glanced back once. "Stay close, sweetheart." Then his attention returned to business. Lily stopped beside a refreshment table while Ethan disappeared into a circle of investors. Maya approached with a pitcher of water. "Would you like some lemonade?" Lily looked up. "Do you have apple juice?" "I think I can make that happen." Maya returned minutes later with a chilled glass. Lily smiled. "Thank you." Then she glanced at Maya's name tag. Maya. It was not a question. She had taken the time to read it. Maya smiled back. "That is me. I am Lily. Nice to meet you, Lily." The child looked toward her father. Ethan was less than 30 feet away, surrounded by people, yet somehow he seemed much farther. "Everybody knows his name," Lily said quietly. Maya followed her gaze. "Your dad." Lily nodded. "Sometimes I think everybody gets more time with him than I do." Maya did not offer an easy answer. Children could tell when adults were pretending. Instead, she noticed Lily tighten her fingers around the paper bag. "Is that for him?" Lily immediately pulled it closer. "I made something." Her eyes brightened for the first time. "I'm going to give it to him tonight, when he is not busy." Across the ballroom, Ethan laughed at something an investor said. Lily watched him for another second, then carefully folded the top of the bag closed. Maya could not have known it then, but that small handmade gift would matter more before sunset than every billion-dollar agreement being discussed inside Blackridge Summit. Lily did not leave the refreshment table when Maya returned to collect the empty glass. She stayed there, watching Ethan through the moving crowd as if she were waiting for a door only she could see to open. Her father stood beneath a massive stone fireplace, speaking with 3 investors and the president of a manufacturing firm. Every few seconds, someone nodded at him. Someone smiled. Someone wanted something. Lily held the paper bag tighter. "Do you think he will like it?" she asked. Maya glanced at the bag. "You made it for him, right?" "All by myself." "Then I think that matters more than whether it is perfect." Lily considered that seriously. "He likes perfect things." There was no accusation in her voice. That somehow made the words heavier. Maya crouched slightly so they could speak without competing with the ballroom noise. "What did you make?" Lily opened the bag just enough to show her. Inside was a small wooden model of a house, painted blue with uneven white windows. Two tiny figures stood outside. One was tall and wore a navy jacket. The other had yellow yarn for hair. Above the front door, written carefully in black marker, were 4 words: Dad and Lily's place. Maya smiled. That is beautiful. It is supposed to be our cabin. Lily touched the roof gently. Dad keeps saying we're going to build one someday. Somewhere without meetings. Maya looked toward Ethan. He was checking his watch while another executive spoke. Maybe tonight is the right time to remind him. Lily smiled, but before she could answer, Ethan's assistant appeared. Lily, your father needs to start the presentation. You can sit in the front row. Lily immediately closed the bag. Ethan passed them seconds later. Maya stepped aside with her tray. Lily moved toward him. Dad. Ethan stopped, but his phone began ringing at the same moment. He looked at the screen. 1 second, sweetheart. I wanted to show you something. I want to see it. He touched her shoulder affectionately, already turning away. Give me 10 minutes. Lily's face fell almost imperceptibly. Okay. 10 minutes became 20. Then 30. On stage, Ethan spoke about expansion, artificial intelligence, supply chains, and the next decade of American manufacturing. The audience listened to every word. Lily sat in the front row with a paper bag on her lap. Maya moved quietly along the back wall, serving coffee, but she noticed the child checking the clock. When the presentation finally ended, investors surrounded Ethan before he could take 3 steps. Lily stood, waited, then sat again. Maya approached. Still waiting? Lily nodded. He always means it when he says later. She looked down at the bag. He just does not know how long later feels. Maya had no clever answer for that. Instead, she sat beside Lily for a moment. My mom used to work 2 jobs, Maya said softly. Sometimes she missed things she wanted to be there for. I used to think being busy meant she did not notice me. Did she? Every single day. She was just trying so hard to take care of everything that sometimes she forgot there was part taking care of me too. Lily looked toward Ethan again. Maybe Dad forgets. Maybe. Maya stood as her manager signaled from across the room. Before leaving, she pointed gently toward the bag. Do not give up on showing him. Lily smiled. I will not. Then she looked at Maya's bright red apron and said, You actually listen. Maya smiled back. So do you? Neither of them noticed the faint vibration beneath their feet. It lasted less than 2 seconds. Small enough for the conversations to continue. Small enough for the chandeliers to barely move. Small enough for almost everyone in Blackridge Summit to ignore. Almost everyone. Ethan Caldwell noticed the vibration, but only because the glass of water beside his hand drew a perfect circle across the linen tablecloth. He looked down for half a second. Then his phone lit up with a message from Caldwell Dynamics headquarters, and a mountain disappeared from his attention. That was Ethan's gift, and, though he did not know it yet, one of his greatest weaknesses. He could focus so completely on the problem in front of him that everything outside it became background noise. Markets moved, and he noticed. Competitors changed strategy, and he noticed. A quarterly report missed projections by 0.5 percentage point, and he noticed. His daughter stopped trying to interrupt him, and somehow that escaped him entirely. We have an issue with the Seattle acquisition, his chief financial officer, Daniel Mercer, said as Ethan entered a private conference room overlooking the valley. How serious? Potentially expensive. Ethan removed his jacket and placed it over a chair. Expensive is not a measurement. Daniel almost smiled. Everyone who worked closely with Ethan knew that tone. Calm, precise, demanding. $42 million if the revised terms hold. Ethan looked through the documents once. They will not hold. They already rejected our counteroffer. Then we gave him the wrong counteroffer. For the next 20 minutes, Ethan dismantled the problem piece by piece. No shouting. No panique. He asked short questions and expected exact answers. By the end of the call, 3 executives had new instructions. The legal team had a revised strategy, and Daniel was already calculating how much money Ethan might have saved the company. That Daniel, said after the call ended, is why people hate negotiating with you. Ethan checked his watch. They do not have to like me. Apparently not. Daniel gathered the documents. Investor dinner starts at 6. Ethan suddenly looked toward the door. Lily, she is downstairs. Ethan exhaled. I told her 10 minutes. Nearly 40 had passed. He reached for his phone, then stopped when another message appeared. For one moment, father and chief executive seemed to pull him in opposite directions. The chief executive one. Tell Rachel to make sure Lily gets whatever she needs. Daniel paused. Maybe what she needs is you. Ethan looked up. Daniel rarely crossed that line. I know. His answer was quiet. After this retreat. It was the phrase Ethan had been using for months. After this meeting. After this quarter. After this deal. After this retreat. Later had become a country where he stored everything that mattered. Downstairs, Maya was carrying a tray past the ballroom doors when she saw Lily sitting alone near the windows. The paper bag was still beside her. Maya also saw Ethan emerge from the conference room on the mezzanine above. Lily saw him too. Her face brightened immediately. She stood and lifted the bag. Dad! Ethan looked down. For a second, their eyes met. He smiled and raised one finger, asking for another minute. Then an investor approached him from the side. Ethan turned. Lily slowly lowered the bag. Maya felt something tighten her chest. Not anger, recognition. Some disappointments were loud. Others were so familiar they learned how to whisper. Then the floor moved again. This time Maya felt it clearly through her black work shoes. A spoon rattled against the saucer. The hanging lights shifted. Several guests looked toward the ceiling. Maya turned toward the enormous windows. Beyond them, Blackridge Mountain stood beneath a cloudless afternoon sky, beautiful and still. But a flock of birds suddenly lifted from the trees along the western slope, hundreds at once, scattering across the valley. Maya stared at them. Behind her, conversations resumed. Fullness hung. Coffee poured. Money kept talking. And somewhere deep beneath the mountain, something had already begun to answer. The third vibration lasted long enough for Maya to watch the surface of an entire water pitcher tremble. Not spill, tremble. Tiny waves struck the glass walls while the guests around her continued talking about stock prices and expansion plans. Maya set the pitcher down and looked toward the windows again. The birds were gone. Blackridge Mountain still appeared calm, but the calm no longer felt peaceful. It felt watchful. Her phone buzzed inside her apron pocket. Employees were not supposed to check personal devices on the ballroom floor, but something made her reach for it. The screen showed an emergency notification from the county monitoring system. Increased seismic activity detected near Blackridge volcanic zone. Residents and visitors should remain alert for additional instructions. Maya read it twice. Then she walked quickly toward her floor manager, Gregory Walsh, who was reviewing place settings near the dining room entrance. Mr. Walsh, did you see the county alert? Gregory barely looked up. I saw it. We felt 3 tremors. Small ones. The last one moved the lights. Gregory finally faced her. Maya, Blackridge has seismic activity. That is why the resort has emergency procedures. Should we start moving guests away from the windows? Security handles safety decisions. We handle hospitality. Maya glanced across the ballroom. More than 200 people were inside. Maybe security should check again. Gregory lowered his voice. They're checking. Do not alarm guests over a phone notification. Before Maya could answer, another employee approached carrying a tablet. Gregory, operations says the West Service elevator paused between floors for about 10 seconds. Gregory rubbed his forehead. Reset it and keep it out of service until engineering checks it. Maya stared at him. That happened during the tremor. Maya. His voice sharpened without becoming loud. Please return to your section. She did because it was her job, but obedience did not erase what she had seen. 10 minutes later, a member of the resort security team entered the ballroom and spoke quietly with Gregory. Maya watched from across the room. Gregory nodded several times. No announcement followed. No evacuation. The music continued. Coffee continued pouring. A server carried out miniature crab cakes, as if the earth beneath the resort had not moved 3 times in less than an hour. Upstairs, Ethan received a different notification. Daniel Mercer leaned toward him during a conversation with investors. County Seismic Advisory. Ethan glanced at Daniel's phone. Is the resort concerned? Operation says monitoring stations show elevated activity, but there is no evacuation order. Ethan looked toward the windows. And emergency routes? Security says they are ready. Ethan nodded once. Keep me informed. Then someone asked about Caldwell Dynamics' new facility in Nevada, and Ethan returned to business. Maya saw the exchange from below. She could not hear it, but she recognized the expression on Ethan's face. Problem received. Problem delegated. Problem considered solved. Lily appeared beside Maya several minutes later, still carrying the paper bag. Is something wrong? She asked. Maya forced her voice to remain calm. Why do you ask? The floor keeps moving. Children noticed what adults worked hard to dismiss. Maya looked at her carefully. Stay close to your dad, okay? Lily glanced toward Ethan. He is busy. Then stay where he can find you. Lily nodded. Maya watched her walk toward the front of the ballroom. Then Maya looked down at her phone again. The advisory remained unchanged. No evacuation order. No emergency command. Just a warning. A possibility. The kind of information people ignored because nothing terrible had happened yet. Maya slipped the phone back into her apron. Somewhere behind the walls, a low mechanical hum suddenly stopped. The ballroom lights dimmed for 1 second, returned, and everyone laughed nervously. Everyone except Maya. Lily tried to stay close to Ethan. For almost 15 minutes, she followed him from the ballroom to the glass-walled lounge overlooking the valley, carrying the paper bag with both hands while adults moved around her like a current. Ethan knew she was there. He glanced back twice. He smiled once. But every time Lily stepped closer, another person arrived with another urgent question. Dad, she finally said. Ethan turned. There you are. Can I give you something now? He looked at the paper bag, then at Daniel Mercer approaching from behind with a phone in his hand. Absolutely. Give me 2 minutes. Lily's shoulders lowered. You said 10 minutes before. The sentence stopped Ethan. For a brief moment, the noise around them seemed to disappear. He looked at his daughter properly. You are right. Daniel slowed, several feet away, sensing the moment. Ethan crouched slightly. I'm sorry, Lily. Let me finish one thing, and then you have my full attention. No phone. No meetings. Just us. Promise. Promise. Lily studied his face as if deciding whether promises had expiration dates. Then she nodded. Ethan kissed the top of her head and walked toward Daniel. Maya saw the exchange while clearing cups nearby. She wanted to believe him. Lily wanted to believe him more. But 2 minutes later, Daniel and Ethan disappeared through the doors leading toward the executive conference wing. Lily remained beside the windows. The paper bag suddenly looked heavier than before. Maybe I should put it somewhere safe, she told Maya. That sounds smart. Dad's assistant said we might leave early because of the shaking. Maya's attention sharpened. Where were you thinking? Lily pointed toward a hallway beyond the ballroom. There is a little reading room near the old fireplace. Dad and I went there yesterday. There is a cabinet with board games. Maya knew the room. It sat past the West Lounge, close to a service corridor used by banquet staff. Do not go there by yourself right now, Maya said gently. Why? Because the elevators are having problems, and everyone needs to stay where staff can see them. Lily looked disappointed. Maya softened her voice. How about I help you find somewhere closer? Together, they walked to a small hospitality station beside the ballroom coat room. Maya opened a lower cabinet. Temporary treasure vault. Lily smiled and carefully placed the bag inside. You will remember? I will remember. Promise? Maya held out her little finger. Lily hooked hers around it. Promise. Then, Gregory called Maya from across the ballroom. More guests were arriving for the afternoon reception, and the staff was falling behind. Maya turned away for less than a minute. When she looked back, Lily was standing near Ethan's assistant, Rachel Bennett. Good, Maya thought. She is not alone. But the schedule changed again. Security quietly requested that guests prepare for a possible early departure. Rachel received a call and began organizing transportation. Ethan was still inside the conference wing. Lily heard enough of the conversation to understand one thing. They might leave soon. Her eyes moved toward the coat room cabinet. She hurried there. The door was open. The paper bag was gone. A banquet worker had cleared the hospitality station and moved unattended items to the West Lounge for safekeeping. Where's my bag? Lily asked. The worker pointed down the hallway. Lost items were taken to the reading room. Lily looked toward Rachel, who was still on the phone. Then toward the west corridor. It was less than 100 feet away. She could retrieve the gift and return before anyone noticed. At least, that was what an 8-year-old believed. Lily slipped quietly from the ballroom. Maya was carrying a tray when she caught one brief glimpse of the pale blue sweater disappearing around the corner. She stopped. Something about it bothered her. Then the building gave a sudden, deeper shudder. Glasses chimed against one another. The lights flickered. Maya set down the tray and looked toward the empty corridor where Lily had vanished. The next tremor did not whisper. It rolled beneath Blackridge Summit like a massive engine turning over deep underground. And this time, every conversation stopped. Coffee rippled over the rims of cups. Hanging lights swung several inches from side to side. Somewhere near the kitchen, dishes clattered onto a counter. Then came silence. 1 second. 2. 3. The entire ballroom seemed to hold its breath. Maya stared toward the west corridor. Lily had gone that way. Before Maya could move, every phone in the room sounded at once. Hundreds of emergency alerts created one sharp electronic chorus. Guests reached into pockets and handbags. Maya pulled out her phone. The message was different now. Volcanic activity escalating. Immediate evacuation order for Blackridge Summit Zone. Proceed to designated safe areas. Do not delay. Someone near the window shouted, "Look!" Maya turned. A dark column was rising beyond the mountain ridge, spreading upward into the blue afternoon sky. The beautiful view that had sold the resort suddenly became something no brochure could soften. Then the public address system came alive. Attention! This is an emergency evacuation. All guests and employees must exit immediately through marked routes. Do not use elevators. Panic moved faster than instructions. Chairs scraped backward. People abandoned coats, laptops, drinks, and conversations worth millions of dollars. Security officers opened emergency doors and directed everyone toward the eastern evacuation route. Gregory Walsh raised his voice above the noise. "Staff, help guests outside. Stay calm. Keep moving." Maya pointed toward the west corridor. Lily Caldwell went that way. Gregory looked at her. When? Less than a minute ago. His expression changed instantly. He reached for his radio. Security, possible child in West Lounge. 8 years old, pale blue sweater. Static answered first. Then a voice confirmed the message. Maya stepped toward the hallway, but Gregory stopped her. "You evacuate. Security will handle it." I know where she was going. Maya outside. Now. Another deep rumble moved through the building. The lights went dark for 2 heartbeats before emergency lighting washed the ballroom in red. Maya looked toward the corridor again. Empty. "Maya!" Gregory shouted. She forced herself toward the exit with the others. Across the building, Ethan was leaving the executive conference wing when Daniel grabbed his arm. "Evacuation order. We have to move. Where's Lily?" "Rachel has her." Ethan called Rachel while walking quickly toward the ballroom. She answered on the second ring. "Where are you?" "East exit. Transportation team is moving everyone toward the safe area." "Put Lily on." Silence. Ethan stopped walking. "Rachel, I thought she was with you." For words. That was all it took. The billionaire vanished. The executive disappeared. What remained was a father staring at a phone, as if the world had suddenly become impossible to understand. "Find her." Ethan started toward the ballroom. Daniel followed. "Ethan, security is searching. She is 8 years old." "I know." "Then find her." By the time Ethan reached the main lobby, the evacuation had become a river of people flowing toward daylight. Security guided him with the crowd, despite his repeated demands to turn back. Outside, cold air struck his face. Gray ash had begun drifting across the resort grounds. Ethan scanned hundreds of people. "Lily." No answer. "Lily." 20 feet away, Maya stopped beside an older co-worker she had helped through the doors. She heard his voice. She saw Ethan searching, and suddenly the pieces connected. The missing paper bag, the West Lounge, the reading room. Lily had not wandered randomly. She had gone back for the gift. Maya turned toward the resort entrance. Ethan saw her expression. "Do you know something?" he called. Maya looked directly at him. "I know where she went." Ethan started toward her. "Where?" Maya looked past him at the doors everyone else was rushing away from. Her hands trembled. Her heart pounded. Then she removed her apron's order pad, dropped it onto the evacuation table, and took one step toward the building. The West Reading Room. Ethan's face changed. "Tell security. They do not know the service corridors." Maya did. She had walked them hundreds of times, carrying plates nobody remembered and clearing tables nobody noticed. Ethan moved toward her. "Do not go back in there." Maya met his eyes. "Your daughter knows me." Then she turned toward the doors. Maya had spent 3 years learning every invisible path through Blackridge Summit Resort. Guests knew the marble lobby, the panoramic lounge, the fireplaces, and the mountain views. Maya knew the narrow service halls behind those beautiful rooms. She knew which doors stuck in cold weather, which stairwell reached the West Wing fastest, and which storage corridor could save nearly 200 feet when the banquet floor was crowded. Until that afternoon, those details had only help her deliver meals on time. Now, they might help her reach a child. "Maya, wait." Ethan's voice followed her toward the entrance. She turned once. He was trying to move past security. 2 officers blocked the doorway. "I'm going with you." "You do not know the back halls," Maya said. "Then show me." A security officer shook his head. "Mr. Caldwell, we cannot send additional civilians inside. Our team is already searching." Ethan pointed toward Maya. "Then why is she going?" Maya answered before the officer could. "Because Lily may hide if she is scared. She knows my voice." Ethan stared at her. For a man accustomed to making decisions for everyone around him, there was nothing left to command. His daughter was somewhere inside, and the person with the best clue was a waitress whose name he had barely known that morning. Maya pulled a clean service cloth from her apron, dampened it at an emergency water station, and covered her nose and mouth. "Tell them West Reading Room first," she said. "If she moved, I will check the service passage behind it." Ethan stepped closer. "Bring her back." Maya looked at him. She could hear the fear beneath those 3 words. "I'm going to find her." Then she entered. The lobby felt like another building now. Emergency lights glowed along the walls. The music was gone. The laughter was gone. Without hundreds of voices filling the space, every creak sounded enormous. Maya moved quickly but carefully, keeping one hand near the wall as another vibration passed beneath her shoes. "Lily." Her voice traveled through the empty hallway. "Lily, it is Maya." No answer. She reached the ballroom. Abandoned chairs stood at strange angles. Half-finished meals remained on tables. A white napkin drifted across the floor beneath the ventilation system. Maya crossed toward the west doors. Locked. Her stomach dropped. The automatic safety system had sealed the public corridor. She tried the handle again. Nothing. Then she remembered the catering pantry. Maya turned, hurried through the service door, past shelves of glassware, and found the narrow employee corridor running parallel to the ballroom. A green emergency sign flickered above the far end. She knew this route. Left at the linen room, down 12 steps, through the prep station, then west. Outside, Ethan stood beneath a sky growing darker by the minute. Daniel and Rachel were beside him, but he barely heard them. A security radio crackled with updates. West Ballroom clear. Main lounge clear. Guest elevators clear. No child located. Ethan closed his eyes. "Come on, Lily." Inside, Maya reached the bottom of the service stairs and stopped. 2 routes opened ahead. One led directly toward the reading room. The other connected to the west storage hall. Maya pictured Lily holding that paper bag. She remembered the little wooden house. Dad and Lily's place. "The reading room," Maya whispered. She turned right. 30 feet later, she saw something on the carpet. A small piece of yellow yarn. Maya bent and picked it up. Her breath caught. It was the same yellow yarn Lily had used on the tiny figure beside the wooden house. The gift had been here, which meant Lily had been here. Maya stood and called again, louder this time. "Lily." For several seconds, there was only the low sound of the emergency ventilation system. Then, from somewhere beyond the reading room doors, came a small voice. "Maya, Maya." The voice was faint, but it was Lily. Maya moved toward the reading room doors so quickly that she nearly missed the small paper bag lying beside an overturned chair. Lily, keep talking to me. I am here. Maya pushed through the doorway and found her near the old stone fireplace, crouched beside a low bookcase with both arms wrapped around her knees. Emergency lights painted the room in a dim red glow. Lily's pale blue sweater was dusty, her eyes wide, but she was awake and alert. The moment she saw Maya, her face changed. Fear gave way to recognition. You came back. Maya crossed the room and knelt beside her. Of course I came back. Lily immediately looked toward the hallway behind her. Where's my dad? Outside. He is waiting for you. Is he coming? The question landed differently than Maya expected. It was not only about the emergency. It carried every postponed conversation, every unfinished promise, every time Ethan had raised one finger and said 1 more minute. Maya could have given Lily a simple answer. Instead, she gave her the truth she needed. Your dad is doing everything he can to get you home. Right now, you and I are going to help him by getting out of here together. Lily nodded, but her eyes moved toward the paper bag. I came for his present. Maya followed her gaze. The bag had opened when it fell. The little wooden house was visible inside, one corner of its painted roof chipped. Lily reached for it. I wanted him to see it before we left. Maya picked up the bag and carefully placed the loose piece of yellow yarn inside. He's going to see it. I thought if I brought it to him, maybe he would finally stop working. Maya looked at the child in front of her and felt the meaning beneath those words. Lily had not returned for a toy. She had returned for a promise. A tiny blue house represented something Ethan's billions had never managed to purchase. Uninterrupted time with his daughter. Listen to me, Maya said gently. You matter more than anything inside this bag. Lily swallowed. Even to Dad? Especially to your dad. Another low vibration passed through the room. A row of books shifted against one another. Maya stood and took Lily's hand. We need to move now. Lily tightened her grip. I am scared. So am I. Lily looked surprised. You are. Very. Maya gave her a small smile. Being brave does not mean you stop being scared. It means you know what matters more than the fear. Lily looked at their joined hands and nodded. Going home matters more. Exactly. Maya lifted the paper bag with her free hand and led Lily toward the corridor. They had taken fewer than 20 steps when Maya stopped. The route she had used to reach the reading room no longer looked the same. A fire door had automatically lowered across the service passage, sealing the shortcut back toward the ballroom. Maya tested the release. Nothing. She tried again. Still nothing. Lily watched her face. Is that bad? Maya forced herself to breathe slowly. It means we use another way. She knew the resort. That was still their advantage. Maya pictured the floor plan in her mind. The west reading. Room connected to a storage hall. Beyond that was the banquet preparation area, and beyond the preparation area was an old service tunnel leading toward the east loading entrance. It was longer, less familiar, but possible. Maya turned away from the blocked passage. Come on, do you know where we are going? Lily asked. Maya looked down at her. Yes. It was not completely true. Maya knew where they needed to go. In moments like this, sometimes that had to be enough. Outside, Ethan stood beside the security command station when a radio message arrived. Search team reports West Public Corridor inaccessible. No visual contact with the child. Ethan went completely still. Then another voice crackled through the radio. Possible movement reported near the service wing. Ethan looked toward the darkened resort. Somewhere inside, the daughter he had kept asking to wait was finally waiting for him. And the woman guiding her home was the one person who had refused to wait. The West Storage Hall was colder than the rest of the resort, and every step carried Maya and Lily farther from the rooms guests were meant to see. Bare concrete replaced polished stone. Metal shelves replaced framed mountain photography. The expensive illusion of Black Ridge Summit ended here, behind doors marked staff only, where carts, linens, cleaning supplies, and banquet equipment waited in narrow rows. Maya kept Lily close. Stay on my left and keep holding my hand. I will. The emergency lights flickered overhead. Maya counted intersections as they moved. 1, 2. At the third, she stopped. The corridor ahead divided around a locked supply room. She knew the left route returned toward the west ballroom. The right route should lead toward banquet preparation and, beyond that, the old service tunnel. Maya had used the tunnel only twice, both times during deliveries months earlier. She closed her eyes for 1 second and pictured the route. Loading entrance, utility room, non concrète passage, prep kitchen, storage hall. She opened her eyes. Right? Lily followed without questioning her. That trust frightened Maya almost as much as the mountain did. They passed stacks of folded tablecloths and cases of bottled water. The building gave another slow shudder. Maya stopped until it passed. "We are okay," she said. Lily nodded, then looked at the paper bag Maya carried. "Can I hold it?" Maya handed it to her. Lily hugged it against her chest. After several more steps, she spoke again. "I made the house because Dad promised we would build a cabin. You told me. He promised last summer." Lily looked down. Then he had a meeting, then another meeting. Then winter came. Maya listened. Maybe he forgot. Do you think people forget promises when they get rich? The question was so sincere that Maya almost smiled. "I think people forget promises when they convince themselves there will always be more time." Lily was quiet. Mom used to make him stop working. Maya slowed. Lily had not mentioned her mother before. She would close his laptop at dinner. Lily continued. Dad pretended to be annoyed, but he always smiled. "She sounds brave." She was. Lily's voice softened. "She died 3 years ago." Maya squeezed her hand gently. "I am sorry." After that, Dad started working all the time. Suddenly, Ethan's distance looked different. Not kinder, not harmless, but human. Some people ran from grief by leaving. Others stayed in the same place and filled every empty hour until there was no silence left to remind them who was missing. "Maybe work makes him feel safe," Maya said. Lily looked up. "But I am still there." For simple words, Maya felt them settle heavily between them. "Yes," she said, "you are." They reached the banquet preparation area. Maya pushed through the door and immediately stopped. The familiar route to the loading entrance was unavailable. Emergency shutters had sealed the main passage. Lily looked at Maya. Another way? Maya scanned the room. Stainless steel counters. Storage doors. A faded evacuation map beside the employee time clock. She hurried toward it. Most guests would never know this map existed. Most executives had probably never walked this far into the working heart of the resort. Maya traced the lines with her finger. There, an old utility tunnel curved beneath the east wing and emerged near a maintenance building about 300 yards from the main resort. "I found it." Lily stepped closer. "Is it safe?" Maya looked at the narrow route marked across the map. "It gets us outside." She reached for the utility door. Locked. Maya's heart sank for half a second. Then she remembered the emergency key box beside the time clock. She opened it, found a brass key marked East Utility, and unlocked the door. A dark concrete passage stretched ahead. Lily stared into it. "Maya." "Yes." "When we find Dad, can you stay until I give him the house?" Maya looked at her. "I will stay." Lily nodded and stepped forward. Behind them, the resort belonged to billionaires. Ahead of them was a service tunnel built for workers no guest ever noticed. And tonight, that invisible road was the only one leading home. The utility tunnel swallowed every sound except their footsteps. Maya kept one hand against the concrete wall and the other wrapped firmly around Lily's. Emergency lights glowed every 20 feet, weak circles of white in a passage that seemed much longer than Maya remembered. "How far?" Lily asked. "A few hundred yards." "That sounds far." "Then we will make it shorter one step at a time." Lily nodded and counted quietly beneath her breath. 10 steps. 20. 30. Maya understood what she was doing and joined her at 40. By 60, Lily was breathing more steadily. By 100, the darkness no longer seemed quite as powerful. Then the lights went out. Lily stopped instantly. "Maya, I'm right here." Maya pulled out her phone and switched on the flashlight. The battery showed 31%. Enough, she told herself. It had to be enough. A dim beam stretched ahead across pipes, concrete, and an old yellow safety line painted along the floor. "See that line?" Maya asked. Yes. We follow it all the way to the maintenance building. They continued. Outside, Ethan stood beside the security command station while updates came through the radio one after another. Search teams had cleared the West Lounge. The reading room had been reached from another corridor. They had found a paper bag missing and signs that someone had moved through the employee area, but still, no Maya. Still no Lily. Ethan stared at the resort. There has to be another exit. A maintenance supervisor named Frank Holloway looked up from the site map. There's an old utility tunnel under the east wing. Ethan turned sharply. Where does it come out? Frank pointed toward a maintenance building across the lower service road, roughly 300 yards from the resort. Ethan started walking. Security immediately followed. Mr. Caldwell, remain inside the evacuation perimeter. If they found that tunnel, my daughter is coming out there. We do not know that. Ethan looked at him. Then I will wait until we do. It was the first decision all day that had nothing to do with control. He could not negotiate with the mountain. He could not purchase a faster answer. He could only wait. Inside the tunnel, Maya reached a metal door and pushed. Nothing happened. She tried again. Locked. Her stomach tightened. Is this the exit? Lily asked. It is one of them. Maya shined the light across the wall and found a faded sign. East Maintenance Access. Manual release in Utility Closet B. Maya remembered passing a narrow door about 50 feet behind them. We missed the release. Lily looked back into the darkness. We have to go back. Just a little. They retraced their steps until Maya found the closet. Inside, pipes covered one wall, and 3 large levers sat beneath old labels. Maya read each carefully. Ventilation. Water. Isolation. East Access Release. She pulled the 3rd lever. Somewhere down the tunnel came a metallic click. Lily smiled for the first time in several minutes. You did it. We did it. They returned to the exit. This time the handle moved. Maya pushed the door open and cold air rushed inside. But instead of open ground, they entered the maintenance building where another exterior door stood across the room. Through its small window, Maya could see gray daylight. Freedom was less than 30 feet away. Lily squeezed her hand. Dad is out there. Somewhere out there. They crossed the room. Maya reached for the exterior handle. Before she touched it, a voice echoed faintly from outside. Lily. Lily froze. Her eyes widened. Dad. The voice came again, louder now. Lily. The paper bag slipped slightly in her arms as she rushed toward the door. Maya caught her gently. Together. Lily nodded. Maya opened it. Cold air swept across them. Through the drifting gray ash, a tall figure stood beyond the service road, searching the doorway with desperate blue eyes. Ethan saw the pale blue sweater first, then the red apron beside it. For several seconds, nobody moved. The billionaire who had spent his life making entire rooms come to him suddenly ran toward the 2 people who had just walked out of the one place all his power could not reach. Lily ran first. Daddy, the word crossed the service road before she did. Ethan dropped every thought except reaching her. No company, no investors, no schedules. He crossed the gray-dusted pavement and dropped to his knees as Lily reached him. She wrapped both arms around his neck, still clutching the paper bag between them. Ethan held her so tightly that for several seconds neither of them spoke. He closed his eyes. I have you, he whispered. I have you. Lily buried her face against his shoulder. I knew you would be waiting. Ethan pulled back just enough to look at her. I am sorry. His voice shook. I should have been with you. Lily glanced behind her. Maya stood near the maintenance door, breathing hard, her white shirt marked with dust, her red apron dulled beneath a thin layer of gray. Security officers were approaching, but Maya barely noticed them. She was watching Lily, making sure she was safe. Lily took Ethan's hand and pulled him toward Maya. She came back for me. Ethan looked at the young waitress. Earlier that morning, Maya Brooks had been one of dozens of employees moving quietly through his retreat. He might have passed her without remembering her name. Now he could not look away. Maya, he said. One word. But this time he said it carefully. Like a name mattered. Like the person carrying it mattered. Maya nodded. She was in the West reading room. Ethan swallowed. Security could not reach that section. The public hallway was sealed. We use the employee corridors and the East Utility Tunnel. Ethan glanced toward the maintenance building. The route that had saved Lily was not a route he had known existed. It belonged to the workers who moved behind the walls while people like him occupied the beautiful rooms in front. How did you know where she was? He asked. Maya looked at Lily. Lily lowered her eyes toward the paper bag. Because she told me about this. Ethan stared at it. Lily slowly opened the top and removed the little wooden house. One corner of its blue roof was chipped. Yellow yarn hung loosely from one tiny figure. Across the front, for handwritten words remained perfectly visible. Dad in Lily's place. Ethan became very still. You made this. Lily nodded. For you. When? Last week. She hesitated. I kept trying to show you. Ethan looked at the house, then at his daughter. The morning returned to him in pieces. Her voice calling Dad. The paper bag in her hands. His raised finger. 10 minutes. 2 minutes. Later. Always later. You went back for this. Lily nodded again. I thought we were leaving early. I wanted you to see it. Ethan closed his eyes briefly. His daughter had walked toward danger because she believed a handmade promise needed one more chance to compete with the schedule. No business failure had ever made him feel smaller. Lily, listen to me. He knelt again until they were eye to eye. There is nothing in any meeting, any company, or any deal that matters more to me than you. Lily searched his face. Then why are you always working? Ethan had answered questions worth billions without hesitation. This one left him silent. Finally, he said, because after your mom died, working was easier than being sad. Lily's expression softened. Ethan continued, but I made you carry the cost of that, and that was wrong. Lily reached for his hand. I miss her too. I know. Ethan pulled her close again, but this time he did not hide his face from the feeling. Maya turned slightly, giving them privacy. Then Lily reached back and caught her hand. Stay. Maya did. Ethan looked from his daughter to Maya. You knew her for a few hours, and you listened closely enough to know where she would go. Maya answered softly. She just needed someone to hear her. Ethan looked down at the little blue house. All day, hundreds of powerful people had listened whenever he spoke. The person he loved most had been asking for the same gift. And the waitress everyone barely noticed had been the one who gave it to her. 3 weeks later, Ethan Caldwell sat at a kitchen table with his phone turned off in another room. That detail would have seemed insignificant to almost anyone else. To Lily, it meant everything. The little wooden house stood between them, repaired but not perfected. Ethan had offered to replace the chipped roof. Lily refused. That happened the day you finally saw it, she told him. So the chip remained. Some scars were not damage to hide. They were reminders of what almost disappeared before people learned its value. Blackridge Summit Resort remained closed while county officials and independent safety investigators reviewed the evacuation. The volcanic activity had subsided without the catastrophic event many had feared, but the investigation uncovered something Ethan could not ignore. Maya's early warning had been dismissed. The elevator interruption had been treated as an inconvenience. Employees had noticed signs before executives did, yet their concerns had moved upward too slowly because the people closest to the problem had the least authority to interrupt the room. Ethan understood that pattern. He had helped build companies where titles determined whose voice traveled fastest. Now he knew how dangerous that could become. Caldwell Dynamics changed its emergency policies across every corporate event it sponsored. Any employee, contractor, server, driver, or temporary worker could escalate a credible safety concern without waiting for managerial approval. Ethan insisted on one additional rule. Nobody would face retaliation for stopping an event in good faith when safety was involved. When a board member asked why the chief executive was personally involved in such a specific policy, Ethan answered simply, because the person with the smallest title may be the person who sees what everyone else misses. Maya learned about the changes from Gregory Walsh. She appreciated them more than the expensive gifts reporters kept speculating Ethan would give her. She had never gone back into the resort expecting a reward. She had gone because Lily was 8 years old, frightened, and alone. Courage did not become more valuable because a billionaire noticed it. It had been valuable before he ever learned Maya's name. A month after the evacuation, Ethan and Lily visited the temporary restaurant where Maya had begun working while Blackridge remained closed. Ethan arrived without an entourage. No assistant. No security detail standing beside the table. Just a father and his daughter. Lily ran to Maya and hugged her. We started the cabin plans. Maya smiled. You finally convinced him? Ethan shook his head. She did not have to. Lily placed a folded drawing on the table. It showed a blue cabin surrounded by tall pine trees. 3 figures stood outside. Ethan, Lily, and a woman wearing a bright red apron. Maya laughed softly. Is that supposed to be me? You are invited for the first dinner. Ethan looked at Maya. If you want to come. There was no command in his voice. No assumption. Just an invitation. I would like that, Maya said. Ethan nodded, then grew quiet. I have thanked you before, but I do not think I understood what I was thanking you for. Maya waited. You brought my daughter back, he said. But you also showed me how far away from her I had become. Maya glanced at Lily. She was already trying to show you. Ethan smiled sadly. I know that now. Lily reached across the table and took his hand. This time, Ethan did not check a watch. He did not reach for a phone. He stayed. That was the change nobody could measure on a balance sheet. Ethan still ran a billion-dollar company. Maya was still Maya, kind, observant, professional, and unwilling to confuse status with worth. Their lives did not magically become perfect. They simply became more honest. Because power can buy buildings, influence rooms, and move markets. But power cannot guarantee wisdom. Status cannot create courage. And money cannot purchase the moment someone chooses another human being over themselves. Ethan Caldwell had spent years believing leadership meant being the person everyone looked toward when something went wrong. On the day everything changed, he learned that leadership could wear a red apron. It could speak softly. It could be afraid and move forward anyway. When everyone else was searching for safety, Maya Brooks remembered one frightened little girl and chose not to forget her. She did not do it for recognition. She did not do it for money. She did it because Lily mattered. And sometimes the greatest measure of a person is not how many people know their name, but whose name they refuse to leave behind. If this story stayed with you, subscribe to Hidden Table and join a community that believes true character is revealed not by power or status, but by courage, integrity, and kindness. Thank you for watching, and until next time, we'll save you a seat at the Hidden Tables.